They fired her on the trading floor, with cameras rolling and smiles locked in place. Her badge was ripped away. A box was shoved into her arms. Laughter crept through the room as security closed in, certain this was the moment she'd disappear for good. She didn't plead. She didn't rush. She let the humiliation finish performing for the audience that wanted it. Because this wasn't a firing. It was a trap. And the people celebrating her downfall had no idea how close they were to losing everything they thought they controlled. The trading floor didn't fall silent often. It thrived on noise, alerts chiming, voices overlapping, screens flashing, non-stop movement. But the moment Naomi Cross was fired, everything paused. Cameras were already rolling. Someone had planned that. At the center of the floor stood Harold Vance, chairman of the board, posture relaxed, expression sharp with satisfaction. He reached forward without hesitation, ripped the CEO badge from Naomi's chest, and tossed it into a nearby trash bin. The metallic clatter echoed louder than it should have. "Take your box and leave," he said, raising his voice so every desk could hear. "Effective immediately." A ripple moved through the room. Some faces tightened, others smirked. Several people lifted their phones higher, framing the shot they believed would define her downfall. Naomi didn't react the way they expected. She accepted the cardboard box calmly, hands steady, movements deliberate. She didn't rush. She didn't plead. She scanned the floor instead. Employees she had defended in closed meetings. Analysts she had mentored. Board members who now avoided her eyes. Fear held them still. Vance knew it, and he enjoyed it. "This institution needs leadership that reflects stability," he continued, pacing slowly. "Not reckless departures from tradition." Security moved closer, tightening the circle. The cameras loved that part. Naomi set the box down at her feet. "You're making a mistake," she said evenly. Vance laughed. "You should have remembered where you came from." That was when she reached into her jacket and pulled out her phone. One tap. Nothing dramatic happened. No sirens, no visible change. Just a brief confirmation on her screen. Vance noticed the shift in her expression, quiet certainty, and sneered. "Calling your lawyer won't save you?" Naomi looked at him. "I'm not calling anyone to save me." Before he could respond, the glass doors at the far end of the trading floor opened. The people who entered didn't hesitate. Their pace was measured, controlled, practiced. Attorneys with sealed folders, regulators with badges already visible, faces that didn't seek permission or approval. The air changed. A woman at the front spoke clearly. "Harold Vance, step away from Naomi Cross." Vance stiffened. "This is an internal matter." "It stopped being internal the moment federal laws were violated," she replied. "Apex Global Bank is now under supervision." The words landed like a verdict. Agents spread across the floor, disconnecting terminals, seizing devices, locking down servers. Panic traveled faster than sound. Board members who had laughed minutes earlier now stood frozen as their phones were taken from their hands. Naomi stepped forward, reclaiming the space Vance had tried to strip from her. "You buried complaints," she said calmly. "Blocked approvals based on last names and zip codes. You staged today because you thought humiliation would protect you." Vance's confidence fractured. "You planned this." Naomi shook her head. "You planned it. I recorded it." An agent raised a document. "Harold Vance, you are removed from all positions effective immediately." Handcuffs clicked shut. The sound cut through the room, sharp and final. No one applauded. Naomi didn't watch him being led away. She turned instead to the board members still standing, still silent. "You knew," she said, "and you chose not to act." No one denied it. A regulator cleared his throat. "Ms. Cross, the board will appoint interim leadership pending review." Naomi bent down and picked up the box. "I won't be interim," she said. The statement caused a stir. Heads turned. Whispers started. "I didn't come back to reclaim a title," Naomi continued. "I came to close a chapter." She walked toward the elevators, past people who suddenly remembered her name, past screens still displaying numbers that no longer meant security. The doors closed behind her without ceremony. Outside, the city noise swallowed the moment whole. Traffic moved. People walked. Life continued, indifferent to the collapse happening upstairs. By nightfall, the headlines had changed. Not about her firing, but about the investigation. Accounts frozen, deals suspended, careers placed under review. Inside the building, a different silence took hold. One stripped of arrogance. Naomi sat in the back of a car several blocks away, phone resting face down in her lap. Messages poured in. Questions, apologies, sudden respect. She didn't read them. She had already done what needed to be done. Across town, Harold Vance stared at a wall that didn't care who he used to be. The cameras were gone. The audience had moved on. And somewhere between the trading floor and the quiet aftermath, a truth settled heavily. Public humiliation only works when the target isn't prepared. Naomi Cross had been prepared long before they tried to erase her. If this story made you pause, don't scroll past it. Like the video to support stories where power answers for itself. Share it with someone who understands quiet strength. In the comments, write the moment you realized the outcome was already sealed. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories where humiliation is documented, patience is strategic, and consequences arrive without warning.